Hello, how's it going? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hope you guys are all well. I am just getting ready to do part 2 of this Audrey Jean Jacket. I'm Sarah-Me and this is SewSewLive, and here we sew things together, we chat, figure things out, make mistakes, avoid the lint lava that is my floor, and just figure things out together. I sew on an industrial Juki 8700 machine. I get that question a lot, especially lately, so I just wanted to tell you guys. And yeah, I really love sewing an industrial. It's the only thing I sew on. So I do a few workarounds because I don't have the home machine benefits. Hello, Nancy. You're always on time. You don't have to show up right on the dot. It's okay. So if you would like to chat with us, and we really, really want you to, because it's a really nice community, it's really gentle, we have fun, you can challenge me on anything, you can make suggestions, you can remind me to do something. Just make sure that you create a YouTube account, which is also called a channel, and then you can chat in the stream and say hello. So, and just so you know, I can't see who is watching and who doesn't watch. I can only see a number. Hello, Ida. How's it going? There's a slight delay. It's just the time it takes from the video to get from me to you. That's all. I don't have a delay on the stream. I can put one on if you guys get all naughty on me, but I don't think that'll ever be an issue. Hello, Karen. How's it going? So, I started the Jean Jacket by Seamwork magazine. And it's going really well. I am doing a few mods. I love seeing you guys say howdy to each other. I did do a few mods. So the pockets are supposed to be fake. They're just flaps, and then you put these buttons and buttonholes on it. But I made my pocket functional by just creating a little simple pocket piece on the back and just sewing and turning the top edge, and you can see that in the first video, the part 1 video, which will be linked in the description of this one. And then the other day after the stream, I did add my buttons and buttonholes on the chest pocket. Totally recommend you do this before you put your pocket flap onto your garment because it'll be a lot easier, but it's really tricky for me to switch machines at this point, so I just did it off camera. We did the welt pockets, and then I added a bar tack. I did not use my top stitch thread. My home machine does not like to use the top stitch thread, especially on a zigzag and especially with this thickness. So I just did the regular thread that I use on that machine, matched it as close as possible. It came out a bit heavy. It was a little bit, you know, but it's done. I will say, if you're making this and you haven't started yet, this pocket is tiny. The pocket opening is tiny. It's my only gripe right now. So if you see, maybe when it's on me it'll be easier, but it is barely my hand width. Yeah, I know, me either, Nancy. So I would make it at least like 3/4 of an inch bigger, and you would need to extend this opening 3/4 of an inch. I would go up. And then you need to make this piece 3/4 of an inch taller, this piece, and your pocket lining. Just make them all 3/4 of an inch taller. Yeah, you know, that would be the easiest thing, and then just follow the instructions as is. So I also lined my fronts, the front bottoms, just to cover up all this stuff in there. And there's my little chest pocket right there, and I just attached it in the side seams. So also my top stitching is going this way from the seam line rather than on this panel. I actually kind of like it because when it's on this panel, it looks really narrow, and I kind of like that it looks a little wider that way. But that was just a happy coincidence, so it wasn't something I designed. You never know what's gonna happen when you make some of these mods, and I definitely ran into a few of those on Thursday. So, all right, so let's see, I had needed to do this bar tack before I finished my pockets, and now that I've done that, I'm gonna finish the pockets with you. This is one thing that's not in the instructions, is top stitching this little welt pocket facing down. Highly recommend doing that. Just pick up the pocket and stitch around. Just stitch onto this piece only, not through the jacket, just this piece, because otherwise this is a loose piece inside your pocket, you know, inside here. It's like a loose piece in there. So, and this welt pocket is designed for success. So if you're a little nervous about doing a welt pocket, do this one. It'll be really easy to do. even though on the denim it can be a little tricky because it's heavyweight, I really feel like this went pretty good. I think I would interface my denim next time too, because this is much thicker than right here, and I get a little pucker down here, which you probably can't see. I'm just being critical of it. And you know, once I'm wearing it, I'm not gonna care, right? So, all right, so let's see. All I gotta do here is stitch around my pocket right here. Let's see, is this the one that goes on this side? I think so. And then I can just stitch my lining down around the edges, and then I'll treat it all as one piece and no big deal, right? So I didn't need to overlock these pieces because I'm doing this, but I didn't know that. And you know, overlocking things isn't, or at least finishing your edges, it's not a bad idea, even if it is going to be on the inside, if you can, and it's not going to create extra bulk. I'm not saying do that maybe on a blazer or something, a lined jacket of lighter weight fabrics. But denim does have a tendency to fray a lot. So it is kind of nice that you know that this is going to be nice and tidy. And you could also, if you're not lining your front, you could sew these two pieces right sides together and turn them. It'd be, it's a little awkward to sew, but I'll show you on the other one what I mean. So I'm just going to attach this lining. I'm just going to stitch it down so that I can treat it all as one piece now. You know? Because otherwise this is how my jacket would look on the inside when I'm wearing it. Totally fine, you know? But I love this fabric, and even though a very tiny bit is going to be showing on the outside, you know, I know it's there. That makes me happy. I've been holding this fabric for so long. Ooh, that almost didn't make it there. Good thing the seam allowance is 5/8. I'll be able to enclose all that. So I'm just stitching it down like that. And how I made my lining pieces was I took these two pattern pieces right here, taped them together right here, and then I cut this piece off up to this fold line of the placket, because we're going to fold this back on itself like that. So there's no need for the lining to go all the way there. It just creates extra bulk, which you can do if you like, but not necessary. There is interfacing in it. And you know, if you wanted to skip the interfacing and line it all the way to the edge, I'm a big fan of that. I'm not the biggest fan of using interfacing. I am using it on here, but I'm not the biggest fan of it. So, ooh, did you see my video just did something weird there? I feel like this one camera is starting to act funny. You guys got to tell me, because I'm not looking at it all the time, so make sure you tell me if something starts going on and I don't notice it. So see all this denim fraying there? That would be happening on that pocket if I hadn't finished the edges in there. And even though it's on the inside still, you wouldn't want your pocket to eventually come apart because of fraying. Because remember, you know, you're going to put stuff in there, and, you know, you don't really want something to be falling out of your pocket, especially if it's not lined. All right, so there we go. I got a little off up here, and so this will fold back on itself. I didn't need to serge this edge. That's why this top edge isn't serged and my other one isn't serged. It was just a mistake when I was serging. And then I'll turn it under and top stitch it down just like that. Nice and clean. I wish I would have clean finished this. It would be a good opportunity maybe to bind this edge, or do lining on the yoke as well. Is the focus funny? Yeah, I might not like the lining fabric. Maybe I'll make it, you know, I have the autofocus off because when I put the autofocus on, do you guys remember? It's constantly focusing and refocusing, and I just feel like that's just too much, too hard on the eyes. For the most part, everything's staying down here. You know, if I'm gonna bring it up here, it's still in focus, you know? So, all right, so if you wanted to not line it and you want to clean finish this another way, what you could do is sew this basically what's considered right sides together. So you would sew like this around this edge here, flip it to the inside this way, and then you'd have clean finished edges, you know? I don't think I laid that on there the right way to show you how to do that, but that's what it is. I should have flipped my pocket so that the right side of the fabric was showing on the inside of the pocket, you know? Because no one's going to see it on the inside of my garment. Is it behaving better, Nancy? Always let me know if things are too bright or too dark or the sound isn't good enough, you know? And if you're just joining us and you won't be able to stay the whole time but you want to finish later, this whole stream will be uploaded. And then you can pause and fast forward. Ignore any of my mistakes because I make plenty. Okay, here we go. Just going to attach this, and then we will be on to the back. I'm really excited about this jacket. I actually thought about wearing it today, and I was like, it's not even finished. I'm going to sew it. What am I thinking? I'm going to try and make this a 3-part stream, and I don't think that's going to be too hard, actually. My lining is a much lighter weight fabric. It's also kind of why I wanted to line the jacket. Because I knew the pocket lining was a little lightweight for this. And I knew it wouldn't add too much bulk. Got a little tuck there, but I think my, yeah, my pocket's going to cover that right up. No problem. All right, there we go. So let's see, I think I can add my interfacing right now on the front. And I might do that, and let's see. I don't know if I would do the placket right now because I don't want to switch top stitch thread. Let's see. Let's look at the instructions. So the other day we did page 15 and 16 and 17. We just went through 17, and now we're on 18. But let's see. Did we do the interfacing on there yet? No. We can still do that later. Yeah, it's right there when we do the collar. So we'll just wait. Okay, there we go. There's my fronts. Looking good. This looks so cute. I haven't had a jean jacket since I was in high school, which is a really long time ago. All right, here is my back. I'm going to line the back yoke. I've been keeping the pattern pieces with the cut pieces because the front was a little confusing. They looked upside down. I kept putting them upside down. In fact, I think I sewed one of them upside down, didn't I? You know. All right, so I may need to switch thread now because I'm going to sew my side backs and my back, and then I'm going to want it to be top stitch before I do the yoke seam. So what are you guys working on? Are you guys working on anything today? The weather is so nuts here. It's like keeps going back and forth. Doesn't really know whether it wants to be nice or not. So here it's perfect sewing weather. But the other day it was perfect to be outside weather. So it's kind of getting to that point of the year where I'm like, oh shoot, it's starting to stay light later. I'm going to feel guilty when I'm indoors doing stuff. That seam allowance could have been a little bigger right there. I forget it's 5/8. Easy peasy, there's my back. So we're gonna top stitch those. And I've been using a heavyweight denim top stitch thread. Nancy, that's so exciting. I'm wearing my pair that I made last Saturday, and they're my favorites so far because they're, I don't know, just because they're new. That lining in the pockets is not white anymore, though. Definitely has the indigo tinge that all my jeans end up having. Oh my gosh, my trash can's gone. Lint lava even got worse. Okay, so typically you sew princess seams on the centerpiece. You push the seams towards the center and stitch it down. Underwear from scraps, awesome. Are you using knit then, Karen? I've been thinking about making some underwear. Let's see here. So that noise you keep hearing, that's my presser foot going up and down. See right there? So my foot is operating the presser foot. That's how I can be hands-free and do that. And then if I push back on my heel, it will clip the thread and raise the presser foot for me. My machine can also do an automatic back tack at the beginning or the end with a press of my heel, but I have that turned off. Do you need that brighter? Yeah, Nancy, they really are. I mean, I see other jeans patterns out there, and there's a couple that I'm like, okay, that I'd make those, but there's a lot of them right now that are really popular that, I can't do it. They don't look good on people. A cotton, oh cool, yeah, all right, Karen, that's cool. I like cotton underwear. I always reach for those in my closet, you know. Oops, I almost did that on the wrong side. I hope the instructions say to top stitch on the center panel. Right, Nancy? I thought that same thing. It's the one time I'm like, oh, okay. You can cheat and just lay them on the table and take a picture. If you're top stitching something like this with a double needle at home, I totally recommend you get a twin needle. It would make your top stitching look beautiful. I mention it a lot just because I know that a lot of people will probably skip getting it. Maybe they don't want to pay for it. Maybe they don't. Maybe they think, oh, I can stitch nice like that. And I know you can, but I'll tell you that there is you will notice how perfect it is. It's not only perfectly parallel, your stitches are going to be lined up side by side, so visually it just looks even more in line. It's just like, it's subtle, but it's a big difference. All right, so I'm going to do my I'm going to thread and rethread my machine because I'm kind of nervous about my thread right now. In fact, you'll think this is kind of crazy, but I even hoarded a piece of thread just in case I need it. Oh, I like that, Ida. Are you just not seeing any patterns that you like out there? Or are you just kind of up for the challenge? I have to stand up to thread this part. That's the hardest part of my machine because it's a thread tree and I have to go from back to front. Front to back, no problem. Back to front, it's different. This is also back to front, but I can at least see where the hole is. Yeah, I'm impressed too. It's awesome. I really like this Seamwork one. I need to decide what my next Seamwork pattern is because I really need to start sewing those. And I noticed that, I don't know if anyone here, are any of you Seamwork members? I can't remember. Seamwork was born from Colette Patterns, which I always really liked Colette and their pattern drafting a lot. And they do offer a really big size range considering some of the other companies in relation to those. And the pattern drafting is really good. They're very, very thorough, simple, instructional. They teach you the right way to do things, which I really appreciate. Okay. I will stop leaving my piece of fabric scrap on the ground. I will keep it up here, so I stopped doing that. Yeah, you just gotta find that one thing you really like, Nancy. I feel like find that one pattern, even if it's not yours that you drafted. If you're not gonna go into the business of drafting patterns and selling them, you can do this. You can take that pattern that you have that fits really well, and then, or get it to the point where it fits really well, and then use that as the base to make your other things. That's what pattern companies do as well. All right, so I'm gonna do this all in one, meaning I'm going to sew my yoke so that I don't have to understitch it. So first I'm gonna do this. Why is my thread slack up there? Maybe it's just because I pulled a lot. Because you're wanting the princess seams as well. Oh, I forgot to, womp womp. I forgot to overlock my yoke. My armhole and my, on my yoke. Darn, I may need to go do that. All the seams but the sleeve seams are enclosed, so I probably forgot it. All right, so I just made a sandwich with the top of my yoke seam using my lining and my... So the lining pattern is not a part of this. This is also one of my mods, but all you do is cut 2 of this back yoke. I saw a few people do that, and I thought it's a great idea. If I did only 1 mod on this jacket, it would probably be that one for sure. I wouldn't let go of that one. It's always a great opportunity to have some contrast fabric in there. So now I'm going to do my shoulders also all in one, meaning I am not going to ever hand sew my yoke. So this is how I do it. There's lots of ways you can do this. Some people use something called the Burrito Method. I'm not exactly sure what that is, but I know it works really good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up my shoulders. I do this so that I don't get confused. This is how I want it, right? Right sides together. And then because you're not going to be able to really pin this seam, you're going to just flip it so that it's the way you want it to be. I'm going to try and do it the easier way here. I'm going to do it from the shoulder sleeve edge like this. And I just hold it like that because that's how it's going to go. And then I get it all lined up when it's under the needle. And then I just do a little bit as I go. Can't really pin it because you can't get the seam to lay flat before you do that, you know? Right? So true, Ida. My favorite is when I think, oh, this design's no problem. Like this, there's nothing that can go wrong with this. And every time I think that, I'm like, why do I think that? There's something that's not, I didn't think of everything. And sometimes it's something really minor, like, oh, I can't put it through the machine that direction or whatever, you know? That's why I didn't do it this way. All right, so now I've got my other edge held. Just making sure all those edges stay lined up. No reason to get off just because I'm doing something tricky. See, look, it wants to pull, but I'm just pulling it there. And there we go. And then when I flip it, it's all nice and clean finished on the yoke. And that way I don't have to understitch it. And it is like origami, exactly. But you know, I don't do this whole like, I don't have like a guaranteed way I lay it out. I just do it so that it makes sense, especially because I'm sitting here talking and I'm on camera. I'm going to make sure that it's successful. So I just lay it the way I want it, way I want it to go, and then I start sewing like that. That way you know, okay, I'm not going to sew this inadvertently the wrong way. Because there is you could end up holding it a little bit the wrong way, you know. Oh, I have to check that out, Ida. I've been trying to streamline everything with the websites and the social media, and it's going to be a long process. I know, right? And you know what's crazy is this is one of the things I figured out on my own. I was like, why do people hand sew these or edge stitch these down? Like, why can't I just sew this right sides together? And it worked. And I've been doing it that way ever since. And then there's this whole burrito method, and I'm like, I've been doing that for a while. Okay, so now there's my yoke. This yoke seems very deep. There's my back. Now I'm going to top stitch those. But I do not have this part overlocked right here. So I'm going to probably, unfortunately, have to overlock on top of my overlock there. Just how it goes. So I think I'll do that right now, and then I'm going to top stitch. So you guys, I'll be right back. Just going to overlock real quick. Yeah, right, Nancy? Yeah, see? My fellow hand sewing haters. All right, I don't really hate it that bad, you guys, but I will do anything possible not to have to hand sew. And I have gone to great lengths here in front of you to do that. Okay, you can hear it then? My serger's kind of loud. That is the one thing I wish I had an industrial serger for. And I've had the opportunity to buy them, but I just don't really think it's necessary. I don't serge that much. But they sound like, I keep looking for my trash can. It's just not there. So, let's see. I'm trying to blend in my serging there. At least that'll be in my sleeve. You know, it's up there. Okay, so let's top stitch the yoke. Oh, I'm nervous about this top stitch thread. I have the, I still have quite a bit to go. I have because the sleeve has seams down it, 2 seams down each sleeve. And maybe I won't double them. That would be one shortcut I could do. I posted a progress shot of my jean jacket in the Seamwork community forum. I don't think people are there all the time, but yeah, they are, Nancy. They're very quiet. They just go tick, 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 tick. They're very, very, they sound so good. Contrary to probably what you think, huh? All right. I tried to invite some Seamwork people over because it's a Seamwork pattern. But I don't know if I'm like stepping on toes by doing that. You know, but I'm not being paid, so I figure it'd be nice to have some more people over here. And if anyone's sewn it, I'd love to hear any tips. Things I should do, shouldn't do. There's just really not a whole lot of people who've made this garment. Do you think double was too much on there? No, I guess it mimics it, huh? The other place I see the most variation is people love to decorate the center back panel. And I think my jean jacket in high school, that's what I did. I think I wove ribbon or I can't remember what I did. Yeah, I know, right, Nancy? Yeah, it is kind of strange. The weird thing also about industrial machines is you never know when they're on. Home machines are easier to tell because they have a light that you can't switch off. But a lot of people do switch off the light of their industrial machine because it's like an arm like this. And if you really need a lot of light, those help. But you might have other ways to get your lighting. And so then they just turn those off and then you can't tell when your machine's on. This one is great. It has a little light on my display up here. My old one didn't have that. So I have definitely walked in on a Monday and my machine was on all weekend. It doesn't hurt it. The motor on these machines isn't, I think what they call a clutch motor, where it's always running and you hear it. There are industrial machines where you hear them on. They're definitely audible. I used to have one of those. Yeah, exactly, Nancy, right? What better place than for a lot of top stitching? Okay, so I'm trying to decide if I want to sew the sleeve the way they recommend, which would be open and flat on the armhole. You guys know me, I'm not a big fan of putting in sleeves like that. And for this heavy of a jacket, it's not that heavy, but for a heavier weight fabric, I feel like even more so, I would like it to not be sewn that way because I really like a set-in sleeve. And so here's my rationale. When you sew the side seam of your armhole and then you put your sleeve in, the sleeve operates kind of separately and it has a little bit better range of motion. Whereas if you were to set it in flat and then put in this underarm seam last, you've bound it up right there with the underarm seam. And then the stress on that is a little higher and it pulls on your side seam. These are my theories. I'm not like, you know, I'm not a like sewing scientist, but I do feel like the sleeve operates better when it's set in. But I understand the draw of putting in your sleeve the other way. So, all right, so let's flip back to the navy blue. There's no other place I need to top stitch. It's looking so good. This popcorn denim is really cool. Here's my sleeve. Here's my cuff. I left all my pattern pieces on this because same, like this is very symmetrically, you know, about the same. And because I overlocked my edges, I covered up all my notches. See, when I see that big white dot there, I think that might be where my notch is. And then I look over here to see if there's a double. Yeah, and it is. Wait, is that a double? Is that just a single? I don't notch in very deep. Okay, so this is the way my sleeve looks. That's the double side. This is the back. This is the front. I'm actually going to put some chalk. I'm not going to pretend that I will remember those things. You leave your rowing machines on, yeah, exactly. Okay, so this is the underarm seam. This is this side, and then this will be this side right here. Oh, I need to unthread my machine because I'm trying to conserve every little bit of top stitch thread. I'm playing what knitters call yarn chicken, but it's this thread chicken. So I'm playing chicken right now with the amount of thread I have left, and this is what I have. I really thought I had a full one of these when I started, and I was like, huh, that's interesting. I don't remember using that. I'm not sure I can get it locally. Okay, I gotta stand up again. And I can't get it. This is when I need one of those threading devices. Because then I can just poke it through the back, and then I'll have to get one of those. Maybe my serger has one of those. My serger came with all these crazy threading tools, and I don't need any of them. It's not hard to thread at all. I mean, I pull the threads through when I change. Yes, exactly, thread chicken. We've all played it. We know what I'm talking about. Thread chicken, the game nobody wants to play. Over the years, I've definitely gotten my share of yarn chicken. Like someone sent me a yarn chicken t-shirt. Or they'll send me memes on yarn chicken. And it's because of my business was chicken boots. So I got every chicken thing you can imagine. And this time of year, this is when I start getting tagged in all the posts of little chickens wearing sweaters. You know, you've seen those snowy areas where chickens wear sweaters, especially if they don't have breast feathers. So, thread roulette. Yeah, I know. I haven't lost at yarn chicken, but I have lost at thread chicken, and it is a little harder to gauge how much thread you have left because you can't weigh it like you can in knitting, right? All right, so let's see here. I'm gonna set these aside. That's my back sleeve. I'm gonna put my front sleeve on both fronts so that I'm not gonna get confused anymore. That's how I'm gonna prevent this. I'm gonna start from the bottom and go up. Now usually you will see that I sometimes don't back stitch. I do on a seam, and definitely a seam where I'm going to pull it apart to top stitch it. So, yeah, those chickens are so cute. My seam allowance got a little off there, and then I looked at that point and I was like, oh, that's the seam allowance. Because then you have a nice smooth transition. This is why using your proper seam allowance is the right thing to do. I even have a little video about that. It's really easy to get off, because look at that. You think, what is this? What is this big wing tip? But look, where's my ruler? Where's my ruler? Here it is. So 5/8 of an inch is right there. This amount right here is 5/8. If you line that 5/8 up, that is the seam right there at that point. They do that so that when you turn your sleeve back, you get a nice transition without that little wing poking up. It's a good sign of good pattern drafting. I like to point it out because I really like to point out when you know you're dealing with a really good pattern drafter, and Colette never really fails me on that front. Same with Grain Line Studio. I'm not paid by them, but I just really appreciate the fact that I can tell. That's where my serger got off. I promise I sewed in a mostly straight line. Exactly. Yeah, exactly, Ida. I know, exactly. And see, you know, it also for me is an indication that the seam allowance is going to get pressed to this way, because you wouldn't do this. As a pattern drafter, you would not do that. You wouldn't leave the seam allowance short of the seam. You don't want to top stitch this. Like if you were top stitching this side, you'd have this empty area without seam allowance underneath it. And so this is a good indication that they intend the seam allowance to get pushed this direction when you top stitch it, so you get a nice even top stitch. So that's also a nice little reminder of how to sew it. Okay. Oh. I'm like, what did I do wrong? Okay. So this has a little vent here, and so I tried to overlock this edge and this edge, and you see I got a little pucker there. I knew that was there. Just gonna undo it. So what I did was to put it through my serger, I did it from this side, but when I did the other side, I started from the top. I pull this away, and I try and go off the edge. I don't want my knife to nick that. So I try and fold it at an angle, and then I go off like that. So what, I have a little bit of tuck right there. I can pull a few threads out rather than missing any. Because I have to say, like, this little spot right here, this little vent, while you need it, I'm not sure I'm going to really like that I have a raw edge right there. So you're supposed to put a bar tack there. So there is that. All right, so yeah, look at that. That's the 5/8 inch seam line. It looks so big, but it's just an optical illusion. In fact, in a lot of factories, they don't use notches hardly at all. They will charge you per notch. They'll charge you on your garment for sewing per notch or for cutting. They would much rather have the angled seams because it's a very visual guide for the seamstress or sewer on the floor. Alright, so let's see. I think I line this up with the top of the vent edge there. I have to look at the directions. I can't remember how it works. So then, yeah, you're going to have this little vent opening here. But let me look at the instructions to see how it's done. Because this is your cuff, you know. Let's do our other side, and then I'll look that up. Lining it up. This one I got a little bit less of a tuck when I did it. It went a little easier going one direction than it did the other, you know? There we go. All right, let's look at the directions. I'm trying to sew this as close to the directions as possible, just in case someone else wants to sew this. Since I had noticed that not a lot of people have made it, I'm hoping more people will if they see that it's really not that hard. So I'm just trying to do it the way. Okay, so in these directions, what they do is they first have you do the collar, the cuffs, and the waistband. I didn't do that. I'm going to do it with the part that it's going to. So they also, I think, have you do the sleeve so that you're ready to go, which is kind of cool, you know? All right, so they are folding that back and then maybe folding it again. And then they're double needle top stitching. Oh, they're just edge stitching it. Okay. And then they're going to bar tag across the top. All right, that's cool. It's just to plaque it. That's all. I just want to make sure I'm doing it the way they're intending. So I'm trying to decide if I want to skip the top stitching to save me some thread. But I need to top stitch my sleeves anyway. I kind of want to do that. I want to fold that back like that. Oh, but it doesn't do that. It does this. It does. Oh, no, no, no. It does this. It does this. I'll figure it out. Really? No. No, wait a minute here. Let me make sure. See, if this goes like this, that means that you do push it this way to top stitch it. Oh, I wouldn't do that. That's a weird thing. Okay, so if this is my back sleeve, it's definitely going to be like this over that. Oh yeah, that is weird. See, I would do that. This is my back sleeve, right? This is my cuff, and it's going to go that way, like that. I'm confused. I might do that. I may go away from the directions. Why would it be like that? I just told you guys that's the way the seam allowance is made, because you would line that up like that. You would never do that. So if it's lined up like that, I might be reading it wrong. This is what happens. If I'm wearing my sleeve, let's see. I'm using logic. Using logic and the way all cuffs are made. So that's a better illustration. That's the back sleeve. Okay. Okay. Yeah, they show it like that. They show it like this. Oh, you know why? Because you cut it. You cut it. You clip it right here. Okay. We're okay. Okay, it's exactly how I thought. I just forgot you cut it. It's in the instructions. I saw it. You go clip. Oh, I'm running out of thread. You're witnessing it. I'm losing. I'm losing. The stream may be cut short. I can get a lot out of the thread though. Good thing I have tons of navy blue, right? All right, so let's see. Let's see if they're top stitching first, and then yeah. So yeah, you go like this, right to the seam allowance. I know it's gonna make you nervous, but you just do it. You have to. This is why I was talking about I was gonna have a problem personally with these edges up here not being finished, because I remember you cut it. But that's what the bar tack is. Is that the phew? Aren't the emotes on YouTube really funny? It's like, it's the same on MailChimp. All right, so I am going to gonna do 1 row of top stitch on my sleeves, not double quite yet. I'm just gonna make sure. Testing the thread chicken waters. Keep meaning to check my tension, but it's actually pretty good. I left it pretty tight from the other day. I have to adjust my tension pretty tight to do the contrast thread weight. All right, so this is going to be like that, but it's going to be top stitched over here. It's kind of weird. Kind of weird. Like that. I'm going to stitch this down. I'm gonna turn the like 90 degrees here. I may end up having to take that off. That may be a no-no, but it looks visually a little more finished to me. And then this gets like this over here like that. You want that underneath. You see that? Like that. And see, because I clipped it, now this will move over here. I need to clip it a little closer. You can see right there. Can you see that? It's that spot right here. I can clip a little bit more. All the way to the seam allowance. Even I get a little nervous about doing that. That's why I did a little shy, you know. They all kind of look like yellow frogs. They do. They look like gumdrops. The emoji. They look like little gumdrops. I'm like, it's kind of funny. All right, like that. I think that I could do this a nicer way, but since it's my first time, I'm kind of winging it. There we go. So now that's going to go under there like that. Like that. And then this is going to get top stitched down. I would really like to see a jean jacket in person to see how this is sewn. So I probably could have continued this. I could have probably folded this a little bit more this way and then had a nice seamless look there. It's almost worth it to me to take that out and kind of join it. I'm actually just going to join it like this. I'm going to fake it. Like that. I can even just take this out right here. There we go. Done. I think I'm going to close this up because the bar tack right here would cover all this right here. This little guy. I like things very finished. I'm not a couture sewer, but I do like things to be very finished and sturdy. I'm really hard on my clothes personally. A lot of people are nicer to their clothes than I am. And so I know that about myself, so I like to sew my things in anticipation of that. I don't know, what do you guys think of that? It looks a little wiggly, huh? I think I'm going to take it out. And just make it, I'm going to fold it over a little bit more and make it straight down. I'm figuring out how to do this right now. I can read the instructions, but doing it right now while I'm live, I won't be comprehending it as well as I should be because I'll confuse myself. It's just how I am with written instructions. I'm very visual, but And sometimes my brain will fight against the instructions because I'm like, this is how I think what they're gonna say. And I have to, sometimes when I get really confused, I'm like, you have to shut up, Jeremy. Listen to what they're saying. Don't put your own thing on there. You know? They know what they're doing. They designed it. All right. Yeah, the printed denim, I know. And same with the colored denim. I guess, you know, that's the one drag about this pattern is that you only get to make one. You know, I mean, you know, you don't really need a whole lot of denim jackets. Okay, so I'm going to try and line up my, make sure my seam allowance is going to make it all the way over there. I feel like I made this a little harder than I needed to. And I know that. Okay, I'm going to line up my, I'm going to take out some of this back tack so I can add to it without it getting even thicker, you know? I have my own little personal thing is I really hate start and stops in the middle of a nice top stitch seam, which I just created this. And, but if I just get rid of this one, then I can back tack right here and it won't be making it any thicker than it already would have been, you know? I'm having trouble grabbing it. Try to go to the other side. There you go. That was one thing that was hard on my, the bar tack of my pocket opening. It was kind of hard to get out some of the older threads. There we go. There. So now I can just go straight down from here. I'm going to try and line up my needle with the holes there. We'll fold this back. Oh, wait. I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah, that's what I want. Right? Do I want a little less? Yeah, I want a little less. I'm really confusing myself here. Okay. Yeah, that'll work like that. Okay. I'm ready. My bottom wants to like be narrow and I'm trying to tell it, no, I want you to be as wide as the top. Stop doing that. I think I barely caught it in there. I still kind of dip over there. But look at that. That back tack is a lot more seamless, don't you think? Yeah, but sometimes, Nancy, you know, I gotta trust. There are some patterns I'm like, what's going on here? Hi, Sandy. There we go. I saw a white one. I could not wear white. Like, would be such a bad idea. All right, so that's only one row of top stitching on each. I'm looking at my top stitch thread. Now I'm going to do the other side. We'll see where we are. I have a little bit on this little thing. I have my little piece. I'm nervous. I wish I would have looked at getting more thread and what that will take. But I've been, you know, busy doing lots of things. Okay. All right, so this time we are, goes this way and this goes this way, and let's clip this a little bit more right up to that seam allowance so it wants to swing over. This goes this way, like that. I feel like there could be a little bit more seam allowance right here, right here. I wanted to do that, you know? Let's go this way, it goes this way. Now that I'm doing the other sleeve, I'm like, how did that go? No, I just can't. I can't wear white. I'd get it filthy. Hi, Amelia. Yeah, no worries. I haven't gotten that far. I'm just doing the sleeves right now. And confusing myself over it, you know, like I do. All right, we have this one. We need our little like majiggy on this side, and the top stitching goes that way. All right, I'm gonna do that first. So I don't like this. I don't like when I fold this back that I get this little angle right there. But I want it to be a parallel width. And I know that'll get caught in the seam allowance of the cuff, so I'm just gonna deal with it. Okay. This like this. But this was top stitch there, and then why does this one go this way? Am I just confusing myself? Oh yeah, okay. It was just twisting. I was like, wait a minute. Hello, Felicity. How's it going? Let's see here. I'm going to try and do it all in one this time. All the way up. And then I'm going to sync with that. Ooh, yeah, look at that. That was the right way, right? Yep. Okay. So because of that little narrow piece right there, it wants to pull away, so I'm just pushing it to make it line up better, you know? It wants to fight it a little bit. Nice. Grading papers. Gotta work on the weekend. I'm sorry. Oh no! I ran out of bobbin! Oh my god. Here I am playing thread chicken and I run out of bobbin, not my top stitch. Darn it! Now I have a start stop. Isn't it, Nancy? It doesn't have any stretch, you know? So I was like, okay, I want this denim. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Jeans would probably be a little too much, you know? Maybe, you know, that could be cool. Maybe overalls would be really cool. But, yeah. Dang it. I mean, that's under my, well, is that under my underarm? No, not really. That's like right on my bicep. That's in one of the most visible places. Should you drink? Yeah, your dad definitely could do that, right? Wait. Yeah, like that, right? Yeah. Guys, keep confusing myself. Yeah, that's right. All right, here we go. There's my little sleeve plackets. They're a little, I don't know what to say. All right, so just, you know, looking at my thread. What's my backup plan? I'm putting in a second row because I can't not do it, you know? Just like Nancy said, it's a jean jacket. I want to do all the top stitching because I love it. And I don't want to have any regrets. My top stitching is so wiggly. I'm going to try and go without stopping. Maybe that'll help. There's no seam allowance here. Your screen says, oh, what happened? Let me move the mouse. You know why? Because the mouse was on the table with me. I'm running, I don't have seam allowance here, so I'm just going to put a fake second row there. Oh, that looks bad. I don't like that. I don't like that. What do you think? I kind of want to get rid of this one right here and do it from here to here. Stop here, do there, go down. Yeah, it's because my mouse was it was on the table with me. Usually I move it, and it clicked the other thing. I'm a noob, you guys. I know how to sew. All right, so I'm not a big fan of that right there. What do I think I could do? I think what I would like to do is back tack here, and then take this seam, take that out, take this out, and then go across and over from here, from this far one. I want to go from here, over here, and then down. Or maybe I'll just go across right there. I'm going to take it out though. Rip. That's a gaming term. They say rip when something bad happens, like rest in peace. Yeah, in case you don't know that about me, I like to game. That's how I got into streaming. I was watching gaming streams. And yes, I am the oldest person I know who games, except for one person. All right. You get rid of that right angle. Yeah, I think you're right. It already looks better doing that, doesn't it? What if I went like all the way to this? No, that won't work. I think I need to go to just there, to like right here. Let's see. I'm pulling this on this side so that it pulls this little thread. Where is it? I like pulling that little thread through when it's really visible. Oh no, Amelia. Oh, you know what? Don't use contrasting thread. I didn't on one of my pairs, and I did it by accident, and I don't even notice it. Like I thought, oh shoot, I already stitched these, and I wanted to do contrast thread, and then I just was like, all right, well, I'm not gonna undo it. I'm not gonna stitch over that, so I'm just gonna leave it, and they're totally fine. I don't even notice it. Ooh, Nancy, that's okay, that's gonna do me. I think I was gonna say these two stitches are longer than this width is in between. I think I'll get used to seeing that, and it'll look normal to me soon. And remember, I get a back tack. So there's gonna be a back tack right here. I get a back tack like it's a reward, you know. You could always try one with matching thread, Amelia, and then if it goes well, then you could just stitch over it with the contrast thread. I really think that can work too, as long as your thread, the first thread matches. If this is your first pair and you're trying to like baby step it towards the end, I would totally do that. No one's gonna get right up against your fly and look at it and go, "Did you stitch that twice?" You know what I mean? Right, Amelia? I know, exactly. I know, I totally forgot, and I was like, oh shoot. And I remember thinking, oh no, my viewers are gonna think I did that wrong. And I was just like, oh well, they do this too probably. And you know, it's like I remember I was using the restroom once recently, and I noticed it, and I was like, oh yeah, these are those jeans I forgot to do the contrast thread on. And I actually like it. They look kind of classy, you know. They just, I don't know. All right, so this one we will start from here and go up. Let me make sure I do it the same way. This one lines up a little better. If you use a twin needle, you're gonna have to be pretty creative on this part. You can go forward and backward with a twin needle. You cannot turn a corner, just so you guys know. Yeah, you know, Amelia, do that. Why not? Stitch it with the matching thread. If you like it, then stitch over it. At least you have a guide. Or maybe you'll just be like, hey, I like it with the matching thread. No big deal, you know? All right, look at it. It looks all like, I look like I have some fancy footwork on there. How would I do this differently? I like to think about that. I think I would push these seams onto the center thing so that the double needle top stitching is on this side and it was all one. That's how I would do that. Because this would be hiding under here and then you would just have all your stitching on this side. That's how I would do that. You'd have to switch your seam allowance though. Remind me to make a note of that for my jean jacket I make next year. Okay, so these sleeves are ready to set into the garment. And I think I am going to set them in. So this is something different than the pattern instructions say. Oh my gosh, you should see how close I am on my thread. Yeah, there you go, Amelia. Totally. I've done that. I have totally done that. Especially on webbing. When you have to have a reverse bobbin color, like a different color bobbin on your, like when I'm applying webbing to a bag. I've never done it on chicken boots things, but I've definitely done it on home projects. All right, I have to stand up again. Got it right through that time. Yay. I wish I would have asked my yarn store if they have this, my fabric store if they have this thread. I'll just stop in there on my way home. I might be able to get some by Thursday. If I can make it through the stream today, I can get more by Thursday and I don't have to worry about it. Because I still have the cuffs and the waistband and the collar. You can on a jean jacket stitch the armhole of the jean jacket, but that's optional and also not a traditional way to stitch a sleeve. And I don't want people getting the idea they can start doing that on their other sleeves because I think it presses the seam allowances traditionally the wrong way. Sharpie, Sharpie. Okay, so let's do the underarm seam. So this is where I'm deviating from the instructions if you're following those along. I'm going to sew the underarm seam and then I'm going to sew my underarm seam on the jacket and I'm going to put the sleeve in. There's one. I like to trim my threads as I go. I know it looks like I'm a really neat like seamstress, but I'm not. Like I make mistakes all the time, and there are some messy things inside my things, but I do like to trim my threads as I go because I know I will not do it later. I just know that about me. Once I'm done, I'm done, and I think it comes from doing production sewing for so long that I do the quality control as I go. Just as a small business owner, it saved me time in the end because there were certain things we'd look for in our quality, but not other things. Like we would be past that, you know, like, oh, I don't have to worry about that. I would know. You, I've never, this looks like a pretty big sleeve, so I'm curious if there's ease. Not in a bad way, I'm just saying like, the sleeve cap is a really interesting shape. It's more rounded on top rather, because you can tell, look, it doesn't have a deep scoop right here. And that probably means it's gonna be good over garments. Now I'm just doing my side seam. It's pretty thick. Probably need to top stitch it. I like setting in sleeves. Like once you know the trick, it's no problem. It's so worth it to have a trick. Jacket's getting bigger. Oh, I'm gonna try it on after I do this. This is a size 10, by the way. I don't need my scarf anymore. Tiny little pockets. Big on the inside, but like I'm gonna have to hold my jacket to get my hand out. And maybe it'll break in. So once I have my seam allowance gone, it'll be more like that. My natural waist is here. This is my hip. It still has a waistband too. That felt really good actually. It felt loose, comfortable. All right, so this is my back sleeve, the one with the vent. And I want my sleeve right side out. This is my back, that's my underarm. So I match up my underarm to my jacket. Like that. I'm going to walk it right now just to see if I need to ease it in at all. I don't think there was easing. I looked at the instructions. Okay, so I usually press my seam allowance to the back of my garment. This is pretty thick. It might be a little thick for a home machine, so you could push the sleeve allowance towards the front if you decide to set your sleeve in like I am. If you're not, you don't have to worry about this. All right, so I'm going to walk it along the seam line. Just holding it up is not going to tell me because the length of the seam is different than the cut edge where I serged. So it's best to just walk it and see. There's a lot of bias that can happen in a sleeve, so there is a little bit of give and take, making it easier and harder depending on if you're pulling or pushing. So let's see here. Okay, good. So there is some ease, and that makes me happy. I really like ease in a sleeve. I know it seems a little harder to set it in, but it's worth having that ease to make it comfortable. So I'm just going to, I think that my notches are about right here. And that's usually where I put in my easing stitch. I don't typically make the length of my stitch any longer on setting a sleeve in. So when I put in a basting stitch, I'm about to put a basting stitch in over the cap. And when I do that on sleeves only, if I'm going to use it as a way to ease it in, I don't change my sleeve length or my stitch length because I don't want it to gather. So having a shorter stitch length keeps the tendency for it to gather and ruffle and like make little tucks. Less tendency to do that because you still want a smooth sleeve, right? So, but on the denim, I am going to do it a tick a little bit longer because the denim's thicker. I don't want it to break when I'm pulling it. My machine, if I adjust the length, it makes a big difference. So I have to be really careful. That's why sometimes I also don't adjust the length. So I'm going to do it just inside the seam line or right on the seam line. And you want all the easing to happen in this upper part, not down here. The easy area down here, don't worry about that. You want it up here, up across your cap. You really want easing in a sleeve right here because you have this extra around your arm. This depth right here needs a place to go, and that's why you ease in a sleeve. Don't ever cut that extra off. Learn how to set in the sleeve. You'll really thank yourself later for doing that, and you'll be a big, big fan of them. They just fit so much better. I have made a few things lately that don't have that, and I notice it in the garment. If there's no ease, I'll tell you what happens. If there's no ease across that, the jacket I'm not sure about, but on a shirt, like say you have a shirt, there's no ease on the sleeve. What'll happen is when you do this, your shoulders are gonna go like this. They do that. That's what happens. Because there's nowhere for your arm to go inside the sleeve. It seems so logical when you talk it through that way, but sleeves are so confusing because you're fitting this weird appendage on your body. Okay, so this is really thick to get to pull. I'm just trying to pull a little bit. And to go over the seam, it might break, and I may have to just ease right there. We'll try. I'm not even going to get it past that, so we're just going to ease it. Not through all the top stitching. So there you go. You learned from me. You probably only want to put your top stitching on this upper part where there's no seams. So I'm going to pull it from one side and then the other. This is where I want it all anyway, is up here. So I just make it so that it's roughly like that, but it's still smooth on the seam line there. I'm sorry if this is redundant for some of you, but if you're new here, I've never set in sleeves on a jean jacket before, but it's really similar on a shirt too. So you could use the same skill, but just start down here when you know, you just can't do that on here. Oh, I have nothing to grab onto. It's so hard. I don't want to lose my area where I want the gathers though. So, you know, trying with this little tiny piece. My hands are already turning blue from this denim. I feel like I spend half my time with blue hands sewing here. Been sewing a lot of denim. Okay. I really don't want my thread to break. If your thread breaks, it's kind of a bummer because you need to put it in again, and you need to kind of like, if it broke right here, you'd have to start here and go to here. Like you have to straddle that big distance because you can't just do right there. You don't have enough space. All right. Okay, that could end up being more than the like 1.25 inches I saw. But you can see that this is already giving me some shape right there. Take some of this out. I can tell it's a little too much. But see, it's smooth. There's no gathers there. I'm gonna do it for both right now. Okay, so I'm gonna make myself a nice long tail before I start this time. Go right inside the seam line, in the seam allowance. Stop pushing my sleeve off. All right. Let's see. I'm going to turn my sleeve. I've sewn so many sleeves, I know that I'm gonna want it I want it right side out because I'm gonna sew from the inside of the sleeve. If you pull from the top, you mean like if you start it, if you get it, oh, I'm sorry, my nose is so itchy today. What do you mean, Felicity? Like if you do your start stop here and you go around this way? I just pull from each side. I definitely don't want to pull from one side only. I didn't leave myself a tail on this side, did I? If I only pull from one side, you have the danger of pulling your thread through. Like pulling it all the way through like a drawstring. And then you have to start completely over again. I've done that a few times. Oh, see, now I'm broke. All right, I'm going to try it on this side. Where's my nice long tail? You know what? I think it was my bobbin thread. That's why. I have to pull from this side, from the top on both sides because I pulled from that side. This thread's a little lightweight. I want to know what you mean. What do you mean, Felicity? That's interesting. I don't have trouble getting even gathers. You only want them on the cap. You don't want them on the underarm. That's not where you need the ease. It's the easiest place to set your sleeve too, so it's cheating. Don't put them down there. Okay, so quite a bit there. I also don't want it to pull through since I broke that thread right there. All right, so let's see how I did. Start this over again. You know, really take the boat, pull a bobbin loop from the center. Oh, but then don't you have like a gap in the middle? So basically, you sew the way I did, right? But then when you start pulling, you just kind of pull the thread from there and then get it going. Is that what you mean? Because that's an interesting idea. Except my concern would be that you would have a gap in the middle. Or do you like tie it off somehow? I like that. I love hearing a new way to do something. Oh, don't trim that. That's it. All right. This is the back of my sleeve. I always have to talk myself through this. This is the front. This is how it goes. Okay. Yes. Okay. I'm gonna try that next time. Remind me next time if I'm setting a sleeve and you're here, because I want to try that. Yeah, and I have to remember also to pull on the bobbin. Most instructions, like when I was learning how to sew when I was younger, they would say pull on your bobbin threads to gather it up, and I never noticed an advantage to that or a disadvantage to that. But what I think one advantage to doing that would be, then you get a little loop. Okay. And you can knot the loop. Cool. That's awesome. Thank you. I'm going to try that. Then when you always pull your bobbin threads, then at least you're consistent and you know what side to pull on. Because if you pull with your bobbin thread on one end and then your top thread on the other end, they'll lock up and then they won't keep gathering, and you'll have to, that's kind of a bummer to deal with, just to be honest. Because sometimes I've gotten confused on like a skirt and I'm gathering the whole skirt, and then I do that and then it locks up and I'm like, oh darn it. Now I have to do it from only this one side and there's not enough space to do it. Like it's like putting too much stress on the thread, you know. Alright, so now I'm just sewing my 5/8 inch seam on the inside of that. I'm going to just get it going, and then when I get to my gathering area, then I'm going to start paying attention to how it's distributed. And then I kind of look at it. There are, you know, notches that you want to be lining up. Mine, I cannot see anymore. Okay, let's get rid of that right there. Can't see mine anymore because it was a circle, and I overlocked everything. I'm just kind of going forward. You could pin this totally. I'm gonna try and remove some of the gathers. It may not fit as well. I may have to do a little bit more, but that's looking really good right there. You see all that ruffling, but it's still smooth on the sleeve. But that ruffling shows I have some ease going on, which is great. If you saw how much they ease like a men's suit jacket, you'd probably be surprised. And a women's suit jacket, same thing. But they'll put almost 2 inches of extra sleeve into the cap, you know? That's a lot. Granted, a lot of those fabrics are a little easier to ease as well because they are more open weave than some of the things that we sew set-in sleeves on. We meaning like home sewing in the dressmaking community. And Oxfords and things like that. Alright, I'm almost at the beginning. I got a tuck right there. I was like, what? So I staggered my seam allowances. Okay, see now I have a circle right here, right? I have a continuous armhole, and I feel like the sleeve operates a little bit better on the body than sewing it in the other way. But that was a lot to ease in, so if you are a little nervous about that, do it the way the instructions say. There's nothing wrong with that. All right, so I'm gonna take out my my easing thread. I like to remove it. You don't have to, but I like to. It also makes it so that I know I don't leave any on the wrong side. Like say I accidentally sewed on the other side of it, you know? I'm having trouble finding it though. Where is it? I can't grab it. There it is. So I would do it like this, huh, Felicity? I would start like right here and pull. That's pretty cool. Where'd you learn that? Did you just figure that out? All right. Usually when I do this on a dress, it just like all pulls out and it's so satisfying. It's like, ooh, I just want to do that over and over again. Then I wouldn't have a dress. So I'm just removing my basting stitch. It's just my own little thing. There we go, I got it all. And then I go on this side and I get the bobbin like that. When I'm pulling a really strong seam like that, you notice I tilt my seam ripper. I get it and then I push against this side. The other side has a blade, so it just isn't, I'm sure you guys all know that, but it doesn't always work out for me. Sometimes it just breaks, you know? Fashion school, ah, awesome. I didn't learn that in fashion school. That's awesome. That sounds like such a couture tailoring technique, and we didn't focus on stuff like that. We focused on design in fashion school, and a lot of the sewing I had to learn on my own. All right, let's look at my sleeve, see how I did. Oh, I forgot I was matching up a seam right there. Look at that. It's okay. Sleeve looks pretty good though, especially with the seam allowance going towards the sleeve like normally it would. But I do think on a jean jacket. Okay, now if I had known I was matching these, I would have matched better. But this is interesting. Do you guys notice one thing here? This is the seam and this is the seam, but this is the top stitching and they almost line up. That was lucky. See right there, same thing. This is the seam and this is the seam. So the seams do not line up, but the top stitching almost does. So maybe on my next one. Okay, see now, this sleeve, it moves independently, whereas if it was one whole long thing, the underarm seam allowance, all of this would be going this way, and it would be, this edge, since it would be like this one long seam, this little edge is like, it's shorter, and so it binds up your armhole. I'm sorry I'm not describing that very well. I hope it makes sense. I'm not sounding too picky about it, but it just is a thing. You know? Oh, feels like a jean jacket. I didn't get it quite all the way on there. All right, let's put my other sleeve in there. So I'm gonna press my side seam on my bodice or my jacket towards the back, but the one on the sleeve towards the front. And I just need to remember that I did that when I get to the cuff. When I put the cuff on there, I want to make sure I don't twist my seam allowance. So I will make sure that I push the seam allowance on the sleeve towards the front on the cuff. Those long tails. Get out of here. I find them all the time. See, look. See, this is a good note. See, like when I don't backstitching, just pushes it towards there. I know I don't have to get rid of it, but I like to. So what'd you study in fashion school, Felicity? And why are you grading papers? Wait a minute. All right. I'm gonna just start sewing and get it going before I look at my easing. Now that I know that that is going to match to that, I'm a little nervous, but I'm not going to worry about it because it is such a crazy angle. It's kind of hard to match. What time is it? 12:30? Okay, cool. I'm trying to be like, okay, how much stream do I have left in relation to my top stitch thread? Children's wear. I did children's wear for a long time in the garment industry in California. I don't know where you are, but I loved working in children's wear. It was fun. Children are so easy to fit. Thanks, Nancy. I decided that I'm not going to worry about it because it's at a crazy angle. Like if you look at, this is going straight this way. It's not perpendicular to the seam. It's at an angle to it. But this side, maybe I can pay attention to it a little bit better. I should be a good example, shouldn't I? Settings leave the, yeah, right, Ida? I like that face. Yes, it is nice to have you here, Felicity. I love it. I'm so love talking about this stuff. What is that loop right there? What is that? Is that where my, maybe that's where my gathering stitch had broke. Okay. When I worked in the children's wear industry, I worked on site at factories, which was really great. Not common anymore. It's all been exported. Oh, I got my seam allowance a little twisted there. Trimming all these pesky threads. Just gonna make sure I didn't get any tucks. Pull out my gathering seam. This is the one I did a little easier, so it's a little easier to remove. What is this stitch right here? What is that? I'm like, what is that? What is that loop? So hard to see. There we go. Denim with it's like diagonal grain line, or it's not a diagonal grain line, that's erroneous. Diagonal lines on it because it's a twill weave, and then the popcorn denim makes this white part a little fuzzy, so it's really hard to grab. Oh, I got it. Okay. Man, I'm not a fan of 5/8 inch seams. They're just too, it's just so much fabric, you know? So much fabric. A 1/2 inch would be fine. That's why I would almost want to stitch this to itself. So look at all that ruffling there, but it's still smooth right here. It's good. Good stuff. See, so you can see it when I do this. You can kind of see that it's eased in there, but when you push the seam allowance towards the cap, it creates this nice little, I don't know what you call this. I used to know the name of that. Nice little rounded top there, because that's where the gush of my shoulder is. How'd I do? About the same. That twin needle though, right, would be so nice. Ah, nice, Nancy. That's so cool. So cool. Love it. All right, so how do I feel about not top stitching the side seam and the underarm seam? Because I should have done that before I set them in there. Should I try it out? So there's a lot more ease to the bust on this jacket than the waist. Do I? I do. Not here. I might do a little bit of that. I feel like, what do you think, guys? I have a lot of plackets still here. Let's see. Fits really good. Do you, okay, what do you mean when you're asking if I draft my own patterns? Like for here, like for with you guys, I might do that in the future. I haven't yet, just because I feel like it's not really fair to draft a pattern and then people can't sew that pattern, you know? I really want to make it so that people can make, you know, whatever they're trying to make, I want to help them with that, you know? But I'm going to do a lot of pattern alterations on here and things like that. So, and then, but yeah, I've been drafting patterns ever since 91 when I graduated fashion school. But I've done it freelance for people. I've done it employed. I did it employed for a really long time, and then I did it freelance for 11 years. Thanks, guys. And then I had my own line of bags called Chicken Boots, and I did it for that as well. Thanks, guys. I love the delay. I'm like sitting here chatting, and then all of a sudden I see the looks good, looks great. It looks so professional. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, so let's see. I think I might put the cuff on. I think I have enough top stitch thread to do that. But I really want to make sure I have top stitch thread for the collar and the placket. And the cuff can wait. Just because of the seam allowance. Yeah, you know, the reason you'll see me fudge things here, like I'll forget and I'll do my own thing. If I were drafting patterns for wovens, I would never use more than a 1/2 inch. And knits 3/8, collars, facings, all that, 1/4 inch, sleeveless 1/4 inch. And that's one of my, you'll find me complaining about that. Because sometimes I'll forget and I'll use 1/4 inch seams on those things, and then I'll put it in. I'll be like, what the heck's happening? And I realize, oh God, it's got to be 5/8. Sometimes I'll just pre-trim that off now, and I just tell people I trimmed mine down to a 1/4 inch because it's going to be trimmed to that anyway, and it just sews in so much easier when you just have 1/4 inch on like collars, facings, sleeveless, stuff like that. So like this pocket flap, I love 1/4 inch seams. I do it on all my bags. We're all 1/4 inch, maybe 3/8 and like on overlock seam, but that was it. All right, so let's see. I'm going to see what I have left here. What are all these pattern pieces? Oh, the waistband. I'm like, what are all these pattern pieces? I have the collar here, and I have the waistband, and I have the cuffs. And I'm just trying to decide what to sew next in relation to my thread situation. I kind of want to do the collar right now, and see if I can sew and turn the collar and do the placket. Let's see, it's 12:30. I can stop right now and do all of these things, like finish it on Thursday. But I think I'm gonna do the collar at least. You know? I'm gonna do the collar at least. So I used an undercollar. Well, that's not, no. Let me say that again. So this is how when I label something, I sometimes go through when there's a lot of pattern pieces. You love, yeah, me too, Nancy. When I go through a pattern that has a lot of pattern pieces, I actually go through and write my own things on here because this is so tiny and I want to see it at a glance, and I color code. I always use black for the main fabric, which I call main, I call self and most people call main. So main fabric is always black. Lining is always blue. Interfacing, stiffener, any of that kind of stuff is red unless there's different kinds, and then I will denote it, maybe red and purple. Contrast is green. So this could have been considered contrast. It could have been considered lining. It's just up to you. Whatever makes sense to you, doesn't matter. I made an undercollar pattern for this because I don't want it to sneak to the outside. And all I did, you'll see, it's pretty obvious. In fact, I'll do it. I'll show you with it on the blue so it's really obvious. This is all you got to do. I did this on my pocket flat too. I leave it the same right here and right there. And you'll see I trim about 1/8 of an inch off to nothing right there. You see that? Same here. I trim it to 1/8 of an inch off right there. 0 and 0. Just shave it off in there. And the reason I do that is so that when this sews, so then I sew all this, I line this edge up. I don't just sew it down like that, you guys. You have to line up the edge. So I line up the edge and I sew it at its seam allowance, lining up the cut edges. Same with here. And so yeah, it's going to do this thing where it's going to start pulling. And that's so that when the top collar is exposed, the undercollar is pulled to the underside, and then it pulls the denim around, or the main fabric around, and then this doesn't sneak out. Especially since this is such a lightweight fabric. I interfaced it, of course. Because it's a lightweight fabric, it's going to lose the battle of the thickness. And so I had to make sure that I wasn't going to run into issues. And I didn't do it very scientifically. I just kind of rotary knifed it off. I didn't actually make a pattern piece, not for this. Like this being 5/8 inch seams is a little much for me. I'm going to use my awl to kind of keep this lined up here. See, it's already pulling up like that. That's okay. You want that. You don't want to pull on your collar. You still want all this to line up. You don't want torquing. No torquing. We just say no to torquing. And twerking, right? So it looks like it shrank a little because of the interfacing. So let's see if I can get it in here. May have to do some creative easing here. Oh boy. Oh boy. I wish I would have marked the center of this so I knew I was close. But I think I am. I can see the fold line right there of the interfacing. Alright, I'm gonna make it. Phew. Barely though. And I broke my thread. Hello, Eliza. The theater with GD. Oh. You're at the movies? That's hilarious. I love it. That's commitment. You get fan of the day. How's the movie? You're probably already back in there, but so I have this embarrassing weird quirk where I don't watch animal movies. I know, a dragon's not like a real thing, but it, you know, it's still, I do have this weird thing with animal movies. And my mom loves animal movies, so when I was a kid, it was an issue with us. She wanted to read, you know, Where the Red Fern Grows, and I would be crying in bed. I'm like, no, I don't want to read that. No Black Stallion, no Black Beauty. You're in the restroom now, okay. I did watch that first movie because my daughter was the right age for that. So you can see how it's curling up like that. That's good. That's what we want. All right, so I'm going to trim this down. I don't want this raw edge to start creating a wear line on my denim down there. But there is an argument for keeping it for the top stitching, you know. It's so cute. Oh, I know. Those movies are so good. I'm sure it'd be fine. Forgot I don't have a trash can. You can see that. So now I need to decide, do I want navy blue thread underneath, or should I change to cream? I kind of want to change to cream, but... And it'd probably be okay. My tension on the top is a little tight right now, so it probably won't show. Oh, no, actually, it probably would show. So I need to probably adjust my tension if I change to a cream bobbin for the top stitch. Because I don't want the cream to show between the stitches on the top. All right, so I'm trying to get a good point there. I'm not the best at getting points. I could be doing a better job at getting the points, doing all the tips they say to do. And I don't. I'm sorry. I'm not always the best example, you guys. I just sew. I just like to sew. Okay, there we go. I'm gonna iron this too. So now when I line this up, this edge here, that's the center. You're going to see a little bit of the top collar showing, because remember I trimmed that off. And then that way when it's top stitched down, you don't see any of my under collar. You know? Cream gets your vote too? Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Now, which spool I think I'm going to use this spool, because it has more now. But maybe I'll just do one row. It'll look like popcorn. Yeah, which we already have enough of that, don't we? I'm just pulling that thread through like I have all the thread in the world. Oh, I need to change my cream thread. So right now you can see my bobbin is pulling because it's so tight. I know, see, then it would. It's not obvious because the navy blue is blending in, but the reason I'm doing that is to not get all those loops I was getting before. All right, let me iron this. I'm gonna look at my directions, make sure I'm not straying for any of you. I know how I would do this, but I wanna make sure I do this the way you guys would do this, you know? Because I have a feeling I'm gonna do the placket a little differently than how they have it set up. And I don't wanna, I don't wanna change things. All right, yeah, so. Apply the placket, wait a minute. That's interesting. Oops. My jacket's kind of getting heavy. Where does the collar go to? Doesn't it go? Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's the inside. I'm like, why is that collar variation? Doesn't the collar go to the middle of the placket? Or does it go over the? Oh, it does go to the middle of the placket. Okay. Yeah, so I think what I would do. Oh, I can't do that. That's why. You did, Ida? That's so funny. Do you start craving popcorn now that when I start talking? I have things like that, like little triggers like that. And I'm like, gosh darn it, I should have picked a lower calorie treat. Like ice cream every night. I have ice cream almost every night. Hence why I need that little adjustment in the front of my jeans, you know? Not giving up ice cream. I'm trying to think how I could do this where I can clean finish it. Because see, the collar is going to go, yes, I know my lining got down there, but here's the deal, everybody who didn't watch Thursday. To fix this, it's my lower top stitch thread. So I would have to take both these out, because then once I got it out, then I'd have to lift it up to here, so I'd need to get it caught in both of them again. I opted to ignore it because my placket's going to cover most of it like that. And you guys are going to keep my secret, right? But there you go. All right, so I kind of want to see if my tension is good. Let's see. Okay. Try and make it a little thicker. Now I'm making it a little tighter. Trying to find that good balance. I don't want to see white dots on top. I don't want to see yellow dots below. I would much rather see yellow dots below at this point than the white dots on top, because they're not going to really show, but I still don't want that. I have to, you know, I have to give up a little bit of my ideals when dealing with this really thick top stitch thread. I'm going to iron this a little bit. So just so you guys just know, with the under collar, it's not laying funny or anything. You see that? All it did was pull this to the underside. Any good shirt pattern that has a collar that's not a Peter Pan style collar will have this kind of effect, because then, you know, this is how the collar is going to sit, like this, like that, and then none of that lining shows to the outside. When do I do this interfacing? Can I apply it right now? Or was I already supposed to? Oh, yeah, I could do that right now. Okay, I'm going to do that right now while the iron is hot. You know? I kind of get it stuck on there, and then I go back and apply it. I get it in position first. I almost moved this machine yesterday, and then I was like, oh, this is way too heavy for me. Get all those threads off here so I don't glue them down. It's really strange to apply interfacing over a seam. I don't think I've ever done that before. It's a little counterintuitive over the yoke seam there. Oakley dokley. So here we go. I just applied my interfacing. I'm going to trim that edge off right there. The one I got a little wonky. It's my only mishap so far. I don't really know why that happened because all the pieces were the same. So off it goes. Yes, I know that's a lot. I will deal with it. Okay, then I'm going to trim this ratty edge. Is this the one I just cut? Wait a minute. Oh, this one was serged. I was like, why isn't that all ratty? It's because I just cut off the one that was ratty. Okay, so let's put on our... Okay, so the way I like to put on the collar, a collar like this, is, because it's going to be clean finished, what I like to do is go from the inside to the outside, like that. And that's, oh, actually, it's like this, sorry. I go from the inside, and then I finish it on the outside. And partly that's because this seam's gonna get hidden underneath the collar when it folds, except right at the center front. So I'm just really keen on how I put it right there. And also it makes sure that I get the outside sewn properly. Hey Brooke, how's it going? How was your concert? I mean, I talked to you during your concert, but you survived it. Just trimming a little bit of these fuzzies. Checking out my edge here. Man, this denim, it just wants to unravel. You know, if I don't clean, like my machine's turning blue here too. It was here, now it's on the machine edge. If I just don't clean it off, the whole thing has a nice blue patina and it's just kind of equal. All right, I'm gonna check out my collar to the neckline and see how it fits before I start sewing. There's my center. I always do the little, I fold it in half and then I nip so it's very visual and I don't lose the notch. I'm trying not to itch myself because I don't want my face to be blue. I don't think you guys can see it, but I know it would bug me later. All right. There's a double notch there, double notch there. Awesome. You love it when that happens. You love to see it. This is going to go like this. It gets folded. Where's my notch? Oh, my interface isn't sticking right there. There's my notch right there. Okay, so that's the notch right there. Hi, Eileen. Nice to see you. Everyone's popping in on there from where they are. It's funny. Someone's at the movies. All right, so this gets turned back right here. Am I missing the where the collar ends notch? This goes like this. See, this is what I would want to do. I would want to sew that, but I can't do that because of the way the collar is sewn. So I think I need to. Did they do it? They do this, and then they sew it over on itself. Let me look at that. I don't want to confuse anyone here. Do you really, Brooke? That's funny. He didn't? Is he just used to seeing blue swipes on your cheek? You're like, wait, is this normal? That's really funny. I know how I do this, but I just want to see how they do it so that I don't do it differently. All right, thread sides together and notches the line, match the unpressed curved edge of the collar. with the jacket neckline. Oh, you know, I will say the way they sew the collar in is they press up one edge when they do it. I just want to show you that. Where is it? They press up one edge. You see that? And then they sew around the perimeter. I did not do that. I get a cleaner edge when I do it the other way. That's just my preference. There's no, you can do either way you want. So, so you clean finish the collar and then you put the collar. So this is very odd to me right here that you would do this over the finished collar. So I think what I would do is do it to the collar itself. I have to think about that. What would be the easiest way for us all to do that? You need this edge to be clean finished right there. I wish I had my front there. Okay. So let's just put the collar on. Maybe he assumed you knew about it already. It's so funny. So you sew through one edge of the collar to both edges of the jacket. And I'm going to use my pins or your binder clips, whatever you use. What I like to do is I like to pin it where it ends. And this is where I'm struggling with finding. I feel like I really want the pattern piece to know where this collar ends because I can't see it. I can't see my notch anymore. Which is weird because I haven't overlocked that edge right there. Maybe it was a circle. Could be that it was a circle. So let me grab my pattern piece. Sorry guys, let me go grab my pattern piece. I want to make sure I put it in the right spot. Dang, it got so ominous outside that when I walked away from the machine, it was like almost dark out there, even though I have the lights on. Here we go. Why is there no... There's no marking. Oh, because it's on the yoke. It's on the yoke. Okay. I'm like, wait a minute. Where's the yoke? There we go. Oh, okay. So it's right there. Oh, we all do, Nancy. But you know, it's not the end of the world. You know? All right. So I'm just going to measure... So the center of this circle to that fold line is 7/8 of an inch. See that? Here is my fold line. 7/8 of an inch. That's my collar. That's where my collar stops, I'm pretty sure. That's a really important measurement. I don't know why it's not a notch. It might as well be, you know. Let's see. Where'd my notch go from that? Jeez Louise. Is it there? There? Right. That's it, right? Okay. Where did all my notches go? I think one thing I really hate is when I have to get up and get the pattern piece. When I'm like in the groove of sewing, I don't really want to move. I just want to keep going. And that's when I make bad decisions. You know what I mean? See you, Nancy. Cool. That's how you spell my name. It's like Jeremy. Jeremy's like Jeremy with an S-A rather than a J-E. But yeah, like, because you're here, you guys are keeping me honest, so I went and got the pattern piece. All right, so now I'm going to put my collar to that edge right there. I like to open it up like this, pin it right on that seam allowance. That way I know I get it nice and flush. All right, this is my collar. Now I've got the start, I got the middle and the end. Makes it a lot easier. Sorry, it's a little awkward. Okay, let's get the other one here, right here. So I'm lining up, that's my, that notch I just went and looked for, right there. That's where I want the collar to end. I'm gonna peel back the under collar, like this. I like to make sure that the seam allowance is straight up and down, like these layers here. I don't want it to roll this way or that, because that's when it gets a little inaccurate. And I tend to rush things, and that's where I will make mistakes sometimes, is when I'm not careful with how I position things. It's worth it. Match up all your notches. All right, and I'm gonna sew it on. 5/8 inch seam, right? Eek. But I don't like that. Okay. Oh, my top stitch thread. Oh, I didn't top stitch my collar. Oh, I can't top stitch my collar yet. Yeah. I'm like, I can't top stitch my collar yet. Mainly because I had to stay open to put it on. If it were, if the collar was put into a facing around the neckline, you could top stitch your collar and then put it into the facing, and then you would have it nice and seamless like that. But because we are using the collar edge to clean finish the neckline, we need it to be open. So we can't edge stitch the collar. Otherwise, it gets rid of the allowance we need at the front edges of the collar. I'll show you in just a second what I mean. I've definitely gotten myself in that pickle before because I really love top stitching and I just rush ahead and do it. I mean, obviously, I just changed that to cream thread. I got all ready to top stitch that puppy. I can't top stitch it yet. I'll show you what will happen if I do. No, that's not how you thread the machine. There we go. It's like, my machine, it's like flossing. But there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 holes plus the needle hole that I have to actually poke the thread through. I can't, it's not like a slit that you go into, which is really nice. You know, I love those. Okay, so if I had already top stitched this edge around the perimeter of the outer collar edge, I wouldn't be able to open this up like this and stitch it down. The top stitching would prevent that. And you can't put it on there nicely if you do that. That's a non-negotiable issue. Loosen up my tension after I just got it all perfect. All right, so let's stitch this down. Oh, 5/8. I want an emote with my face of when I have to stitch 5/8 on a neckline. Not a fan. I pin perpendicular to my seam so I can sew right over it. I know that there are lots of schools of thought on that, and a lot of people really hate you when you stitch over your pins. I don't have an issue with it. I don't do it in practice. Like, I will definitely remove my pins occasionally, or most of the time when I can. But when I'm trying to be really accurate, I leave it there. Oh God, this 5/8 didn't seam though. This is when I feel like I'll get tucks in my neckline. I always leave the needle down. If your machine has that option to leave the needle down anytime you stop sewing, definitely enable it. It'll improve your sewing. It's like an extra hand helping you keep things in the right spot. I was really glad that more modern machines started adding that as a feature. Mine can do either, but I always stop needle down. I don't think I've ever sewn anything where not stopping needle down would have been helpful. So right now I'm making sure that I'm not getting any tucks in my collar or my neckline. So I'm feeling under there. That's what I'm doing. I can feel something right here, and I can't tell if it's just the curve. I think this pin's kind of hanging me up right here. Sometimes I find like because I'm sewing this to two different curves. Woo! What is the stop that. Is that doing that on your guys' screen too? Uh-oh. May have to call it soon. Did it stop? That's crazy. I can see it happening for you guys right now. I don't know what I did. I didn't do anything. I told you this camera's starting to act funny. Alright, I'm going to get rid of this pin. There we go. Now I'm going to look for any tucks. This is my inside. I always get a little, just for a minute. Yeah, that was really weird. Didn't my old camera do that too? All right, so I'm gonna trim this down, and I'm going to clip it because it's my neckline and it's a curve. So there's no curves. I know tucks in there. It looks good. It means I need to trim this right here too. Ooh, there's thunder outside. I'm not gonna trim this piece yet. I don't know if they say to trim this, but I am definitely trimming all this stuff, man. This is just way too much to be in there. It'll look nicer without a big fat ridge of seam allowance. Make sure you don't trim your jacket in the wrong way. Yes, I've done that. I've done all kinds of silly just things that happen. We're human, you know. I'm just gonna go right through to that now. Now I'm going to clip my neckline, and then I'm going to top stitch my collar. I may not finish the placket. I might. I may not. Let's see how much time. I feel like I've been going for a little while, and I know I don't want to wear you guys out. But I would really like to finish next Thursday. I don't want to leave too much. And then I'm going to be taking a 3-stream break to move. I just decided I need to do that. I don't really think I can stream through it. I still haven't tested my internet at my new place. It's supposed to be fine. Like they worked on that for me, you know, like I've been setting it up. But I haven't tested it out. So you might see me testing. So if you see me testing, feel free to come by and say hi. I'll probably turn it on private. All right. So now, Oh, see, maybe this might be one reason not to do it this way, but I'm going to clip that like that. Push that up there, and then I'm going to turn all that to the inside and stitch it down. I'm going to switch my thread to cream on top now, since Nancy said so. She's not here now. I can't blame her on. I can blame everything I want on her now, right? It's so fun to live somewhere where we get thunder and lightning. Hopefully my daughter's not out in this. My daughter, man, she loves going on hikes and walks all the time. Every day she goes on a hike or a walk. And she takes the dogs. And this would not be good to be out in at all. It is coming down out there. All right, let's see here. Make sure this is all gonna work out. I'm gonna sew that. See, this is what I kind of wanna, I'm trying to figure out a nice way to finish this placket. This is not how I would do this, so, and I haven't sewn this style very often, so let me just look at this. I'm gonna puzzle it out here. So once my collar is finished, I still have this to finish, and I could sew it on, fold it back on itself like this, and then, but I can't. I need to do it this way. That's very clunky to me. Maybe if I go like this. I can't do that either. I'm not a big fan of that. I wish I had a jean jacket to look at. I'm gonna get some of my interfacing down better. All right, let's stitch this collar down. Lickety split, no problem. I always pin them myself, and I'm gonna start. I start in the center and I work my way left and right, just like I did the on the neckline before. I don't mind the seam allowance because it's lighter weight fabric. And the reason I do it from the center out is I found it torques less when I do that. You know that torquing issue I really don't like. Okay, so when I get to this little front part, I open up the neckline and I poke it through like that. See that? Just poke it through in there like that. Like that. I want that clean finished. I don't like that. I don't really like that. All right, I'm gonna get one pin there. I'm gonna come back and clean this up a little bit. I'm gonna get that going so I can get the rest of these pinned. I might lose power, you guys. If I lose power, you'll see me Thursday, 10 a.m. Pacific, just so you know. We tend to lose power here quite often. It's not even a really small town or area, but we're pretty agricultural. Weather really affects the internet and the electricity here more so than other places I've lived. Not more than Humboldt County. There I would just lose power for 2 or 3 days. How about you guys? What's the weather like where you guys live? You guys are quiet today. It's hailing here right now. Can you hear the thunder? My God. Maybe that's why my camera acted like that. Maybe it was like a power thing. All right, let's see. Just gonna make sure that's all tucked in there. Yeah, I'm not a fan of this, how this is going. Be like this. Like that. Okay. Oh, cold and windy there. You guys have had quite a winter, haven't you? We're finally not in a drought in California. It's just that whole irony with the whole campfire, and now we don't have we're not in a drought, you know? It's like, come on. Did people really need to lose their homes? All right. Getting that first one, it's always tricky. I'm really letting it know that I'm the boss of this neckline. I noticed that on Seamwork you can now add projects, kind of like Ravelry for you knitters that know about Ravelry. I've been kind of testing it out. It's kind of cool. I only got one, but it was really easy to do. I'm gonna do more. Be nice to like have a little place that's easy to keep it all. I keep meaning to check out more Textilia and the fold line and see like what the best place would be to keep track of all that. Are any of you on any of those, the fold line or Textilia? I know Textilia you can save your projects. It would be really nice if one of those was kind of like Ravelry and we could have a forum on one of them, you know, like designers do on Ravelry. It doesn't want to like slide because of the interfacing. It sounds like it's raining inside of my shop right now because it's like running down the windows and hitting it. Okay, so there is my neckline. It'll all get enclosed in there. These are all just little threads from the denim and the popcorn. There we go. So this right now would be a good time. This would be when I would start top stitching normally. But because I'm doing this with the contrast lining, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew across this. And it means that my neckline won't be contrast. It won't have the pretty top stitch thread yet. I'm going to decide whether I want to add it, because maybe what I'll do is I will add it on top of my blue thread. Why not? Okay, so I don't like to start. Ooh, I have to. I don't like to start and stop at the fronts of collars, but I'm gonna have to here. Boy, I just really don't like that this is raw right there. I'm not really doing this differently than the instructions either. This is how it's supposed to be. I'm trying to tuck it in there really good, nice and tight. But I feel like I'm doing it left-handed. So I'm gonna do this. There we go. No, it's not. That's not it. There you go. There we go. Let's see, maybe that's better. We go like that. Tucking it all in there. Okay, I think I got all that. Let's look at this one again. I was going to come back to this one. Oh, it's beautiful there. Well, that's nice. All right, here we go. Let's do it. I'm By let's do it, I mean let's sew a little on my scrap first. Okay, here we go. Moment of truth. So some of the things I'm doing right now with my hands, I'm making sure that my collar isn't buckling under my hand because I can feel if it would be. I'm making sure that this fold edge goes to the seam line. I don't actually really want it to extend much past it, but it can. Not much, but you could do a little bit. I know that if I stitch to the right of the original seam, it's going to land on the collar underneath. And let's look at my tension. I really don't want my white thread to show. See, like it did right there at the start stop. I'll have to get rid of that. And I'll just kind of gently kind of pick at it to see if I can get the loose white thread. It's the tail. I should have held the tail when I started, and it would have probably prevented a lot of it. Sometimes I kind of like when the under collar is a little tight because it kind of helps. It seems a little trickier to pin in there, but it behaves really well when you go to sew it, like right here. This is going in really nicely, if I do say so myself. Like even I'm thinking, this is actually pretty easy. And I think partly it's because this under collar was a little bit shrunk from ironing the interfacing, because remember when I tried to attach it, it felt a little like I had to ease it. Now I know I got a little away from my fold, and it's because I would much rather it be on the collar than on the edge of the, like on the underside. I want it to be on the collar rather than past it onto the jacket. This is probably trickier to sew than your welt pocket. So there you go. Don't be afraid of a welt pocket. If you've done collars before, you can do a welt. Phew! Wait, I pulled that thread out of the way. Why did you sneak back out? Oh, it's like, okay, it's cut. Alright. Little thread there. That looks pretty good. Let's see how I did on this side. Not bad, not bad. Alright, let's get rid of this guy right here. See, it's a thread tail, you see it? It looks so white. It doesn't look cream at all, it looks white. All right. I don't mind being a little bit, you know. See you, Eileen. See you Thursday. Have a good day at work. Okay, I want to get rid of this as much as possible because that is a focal point on my jacket. It's going to look like that. That's actually not a focal point on my jacket. I don't have to worry about it too much. So this is how my jacket will look. Now see, can you see that my under collar, like it wanted to buckle a little bit, but it really can't. See, it's all underneath there. Looks good. That collar looks really good. See that right there? Can you imagine if I hadn't made an under collar? So when I top stitch that, that'll help a lot. There we go. All right, do I puzzle out this placket right now or do we save it to Thursday? What do you guys think? So now it's gonna do this. I'm gonna sew it like, I can't though. I understand this. Because see, the thing is, it goes past your collar like that. That's why I'm like, I don't get how this is gonna do this. You're gonna have to fold it on itself like this. And top stitch it down like that. Well, more like this. It has to be like this. I feel like I'm forgetting a step, but I read it through, so like that. I'm gonna turn that edge under. Now, could I do this? I could do this. I can't do that. See you, Karen. All right, let me think about, maybe I'll think about it. Oh, I need to iron my interfacing on a little better right there. It's looking really good. I'm pretty excited though. I do have enough thread to do my placket. But I really want this to be clean finished. You know, I don't want that. Eek. All right, so all we have left right now is the, I think I'm gonna try and sew this and then I'm just gonna top stitch my collar. All we have left right now is the top stitching of the collar, the center front placket, the cuffs and the waistband, and we're done. All right. Maybe I'm just going to power through and figure out this placket. I'm going to look at the directions one more time. Let's see. Let's see what they do. So that's not possible. That's not possible. So here, I'll show you why. Okay, so what they're showing you is you would fold this back on itself at the fold line, which is about right here. Okay. Now, if I stitch this like this and pull it to the inside, it would do this onto the collar. That's why I'm puzzled right now. So I'm going to switch this to the blue thread and I'm just going to top stitch it down. I'm going to top stitch it the way it's supposed to end up. And then that way, you know, we can move forward. Because I'm either misreading the directions or the illustration. Or I should have done it in a different order, but I'm pretty sure I did it right. Except for the fact that I do my collar one way, the other way, you know. Okay, so where's my fold line? Why do I keep losing this stupid notch? There it is right there. It's really just not deep enough, is it? I can feel it, but I don't see it. Guys hanging in there? Ooh, this is kind of bugging me. Get rid of this white thread right here. It'll look nicer if I get rid of it now. See, those little guys are supposed to get in here. I gotta get it in there before it starts getting really worse too, you know? I'm gonna start on this side. I think it'll be easier to sew since I'm right-handed and my machine head. Okay, so I'm gonna fold it down. This is my plan. I'm gonna fold this down like this. I'm gonna fold it on the fold line like this. Now I'm going to pin that right there so I don't have to worry about it. Like that. I'm gonna kind of pin a little bit more of my placket so that it's not fighting me right now. You know what I mean? So just like this. And I can also make sure then I get a nice, even, straight placket. And I folded it the proper amount at the top, which I'm prone to not doing. So I know me. There we go. So this is where the placket should be. You guys see all that? Like that. And this turns under. Like this. That's my bobbin thread right there. See right there? That is my raw edge trying to poke out. Makes me a little worried. So I'm not going to mess around with my top stitch thread right now because I'm a little worried about this. And I'm going to just start sewing it and edge stitching it down so that I don't lose it. And I may have to do this as I go. I just don't like that. Like that. Do I have, what color thread do I have on? Okay, now I need to, now I need a piece of thread for fabric. There we go. All right. I don't usually like to top stitch from the inside. I like to top stitch from the outside, but I just really want to secure this right now, so I'm going to do it. I need to pivot, so I need to start turning this under before I get to the turning point. Yeah, I'd fold that under before I get to the turning point. Okay. All right. Now I'm just going to back stitch like that. So I think I have that secure. It looks pretty good. You probably can't see what I can see, but it looks pretty good. It's mediocre right here. There's some of my thread pulling out right there. Let me get rid of that. It'll look a little better. This right here, is that poking through? There we go. Okay. So I've secured my top of my placket for now. But I'm going to secure the other side and then I can top stitch it down. All right, so let's do the same thing. I'm going to fold it up from the bottom. Like this. Make sure you always line up your edges. You need a right angle right there. It's really important. Ooh, I love the thunder. All that blue right there, that's the denim. It looks so messy right there. Like, what is all that searching? All right, so let's see here. Let's wrangle this one now. Okay, so I'm gonna pull this to the inside. Wait, I'm gonna get rid of this white thread right here. See that? I'm gonna go over some of this and top stitch it down again, even my neckline. It's just because I really wanted to secure that. Everything's turning blue. Okay, so fold that into the inside just like that. My interfacing still didn't fuse, but I'm gonna sew it down now, so it's gonna be fine. Fold this to the inside. Sorry if I'm not showing that. Fold this to the inside like that. Fold it over onto itself at the fold line, just like that. Get that nice and secure. All those little threads in there. There we go. And let's secure it. I feel like this is kind of clunky. I know you can tell I think that. I'm just going to say it. All right. This is just, I don't know. Sorry, I'm really thinking about it. I like puzzles. There we go. I mean, this is how it's going to look on the outside, you know? Like that. Not bad. So now we just need our top stitching. Do I have enough thread? I don't know. Let's see. I can do here. And then around my collar. Let's try. And then I'm calling it a day. I don't really want to leave this unfinished. I really like to get past problems or issues because I don't want to dread coming back to my sewing. So I always advise that when people are like having a lot of trouble with something, like they had to rip out a lot or something, I always recommend just ripping it out and then walking away. But don't leave it to come back to rip out. Unless you're really like, no, there's no way, I have to take a break, then totally take a break. But try and do it in increments. You know, go back to it and rip it out, and then like in between your sewing times that you get, and then continue to sew. Like, you know. Oh, shoot. I gotta sew this blind. I can't put this as bobbin thread on my machine. Having the serged edge actually made that kind of nice. So just FYI, it's kind of nice. I don't really worry about the thickness when it comes to a jean jacket, you know. All right. So I'm just turning it under. This was the amount that is specified in the pattern, and they even show it on the cut piece. On the pattern piece, I should say. I'm going to put a couple extra pins right here because near this thickness it wants to kind of unfold because it's such a narrow amount like that. So I'm going to have to sew this from this side. Not my favorite, you know. Let's do this one here. I bought a cup. I bought it from the hardware store of all places. Okay. Get that thread under there. You see that little thread trying to pop out? Gosh, you know, it's starting to feel like I need to start spring sewing. So if you guys, what are you guys sewing for spring? Besides underwear. Okay. See, if this was serged, it would be a little, you know, be just nicer to deal with. Times like this is when I want music, but I know you guys are like, no, no music. I think it would be nice. It has to be boring watching me pin something. All right, so now I'm gonna do this on the other side, from the other side, like these. All right, just gonna follow the feel of the ridge. Wish me luck. It's hard to feel right here because of the pocket. Put your weight of your garment up on the machine. Don't let it pull. I'm not trying to go fast, but I am trying to stay in a straight line. And sometimes when I go faster, it stays straighter for me. Ouch. I don't want this to push out that little folded edge near this thickness. But I want to get the, I'm kind of getting the pin away when it's in that thick spot there. All right, I'm a little nervous. Let's see how I did. Not so good. A little too far away from the edge. But I have room to do my second stitch, so maybe that's what I do. I don't know. I may end up calling it and doing this later. What is that? What is this? Is that my back stitch? Oh yeah, that's my back stitch. Okay, what's that? That doesn't look so good. That does not look good at all. And I just wasted a lot of top stitch thread. All right, let's try the other side. Let's see if I can get a better one. I might take that one out. And then when I have more thread, I'll fix it. I like that I'm going from the top down on this side. Oh, this already feels better. I don't want torquing. It's trying to torque. It's trying to torque right there because it's kind of thick. So I think I need to iron this. But I did nail it on the inside. It looks pretty good. But I'm not really that happy with the outside. I'm going to think about this. I'll do my collar right now, and then I think I'm just going to go around the edge. Just the edge, not the neckline. How would I have put this collar together differently, I wonder? How would I have done this? Kind of curious to think about that. So even though my under collar is smaller, I'm not top stitching. You don't change the way you top stitch it. You still top stitch the way you want. It's just kind of the thing you gotta do. I don't like having back tacks right here. That looks good though. So you see some of my understitch or top stitching doesn't show on the under collar. It's more important that it looks good on the top. And in the instructions, you don't actually have an under collar. I added one because of the contrast fabric. So. Do I want 2 rows on the collar? I don't know. It's looking good though. Try it. Do I have pins in here? Oh yeah, I have pins in here. Let's take those out. No stabbings. This is the size 10. Feels good. What do you think? Except for the tiny pocket openings. Oh, they're kind of far back too. I like it. It looks pretty good. From what I can see, I can't see what it's doing in the sleeve. It seems like it's poking right there. I need to push the seam allowance. Alright guys, well, I'm going to call it. I feel like I have a few little placket issues I want to sort out. I'm looking at myself on the camera. And I kind of want to noodle on that a little bit and see what I think about that and see some improvements I can make. I want to make sure also it's secure. So I'm going to look at that. And then on Thursday, we'll do our cuffs and the waistband, and then tidy up this placket. I'm gonna find some top stitch thread because I am at I'm at fumes with the top stitch thread, and we will finish this up. And then I'm gonna take a 3-stream break, so no Saturday, Thursday, or Saturday while I move, and hopefully it'll all be set up and the internet's gonna be great, and you're gonna see me in a shiny new space that's halfway put together, and I'll have something fun to sew for you guys. So I'll see you this coming Thursday. I don't know what day that is. And I'll see you at 10 a.m. Pacific. My name is Sarami. Thanks, Amelia. And make sure you subscribe and click the notifications so you can learn when we're live. I'm always live Thursdays and Saturdays right now. That could change in the future. If you're looking for me and I'm not live, just look on Instagram, SewSewLive on Instagram, to see if there's been a scheduled change, or sign up for the newsletter. I'm slowly transitioning my old website over to be completely for SewSew, and the website is SewSew.live. That's the entire web address, www.sewsew.live. And you can check things out there, but it is a work in progress, just so you know. But if you sign up for the newsletter on there, you can get a couple free patterns, which I have sewn, and there's links to those on there. And I hope that if you sew them, you tag me and let me know. So let's see. Anything else? I'm liking how this is coming out. I'll figure this placket thing out. Maybe I should bind it. I don't know. I'm thinking about it. So, all right, guys. Have a fantastic weekend. I hope the weather's better there than it is here, but not so good that you don't get to sew, because, you know, sewing's an indoor sport. And thank you so much for coming by. I will see you on Thursday. Looking for my mouse over here. And happy sewing. Take care.